So just a very quick explanation of the navigation tools here, and I'm just going to do this so that you can see the similarity with and some of the differences between Revit and Navisworks. The reason I brought these tools up was so that you could see that there's the same functionality in here that you had in Revit. Right? I can use the same tools to look at the model. If, for example, let me remind you of view, and I can turn it off. That's all I wanted to show you about that. The other example that I want to show is that another way of working with it is through the navigation bar here, which I've got switched on. And the kind of thing that does is it lets you use, again, the navigation wheels and things like that that are available across the products. This is referred to as a split button, and you'll see that if you go to the black down arrow under there, you've got different options that are underneath it for which kind of navigation you use. I'm not going to use that because there's faster ways of working. But for example, one way of initiating commands would be to click from here, pan. So then pan lets you move around without getting closer or further away from the model. You're literally panning left or right. Under the view, just to show the zoom icon, to show the options that are under there, you can do something like, say, zoom window, and then you can pick an area and zoom in. So very like AutoCAD. If I went and I said something just like the zoom all command, then it's going to fit the whole thing to my screen. Notice that there are really like fast keys to get commands. They're not terribly intuitive. So page up and page down. Page up means zoom all, page down means zoom to selected. So if I, on my keyboard, let me just show you the zoom to selected here. If, for example, I was working on a particular area of my building, like I pick something in here, my option would be down here to say zoom to selected, which is page down, and it's going to zoom in on the object that I selected, which you can't see the whole thing, but it's a wall behind the wall that I there. So let me pick on that and say, just to show you the option there, page selected like that, so it gets them closer to the object that you've selected. And you can't do something that you can't recover from, so there's undo and redo on here, the same as there are in the other products. If below this, some useful commands, let me set that back to the options that it usually has on it, like zoom all. Down here, orbiting, a free orbit is kind of like if you drag up to the right, it's like you're pushing on the upper right quadrant of the screen. If I drag up that way, I'm pushing in the upper left quadrant of the screen. It might be, in some occasions, better to do this constrained orbit. The constrained orbit means that it's kind of locked on a turntable, and I can just drag to change the direction. It looks a bit better there. And I'm going to just switch that back to the normal orbit that we started with. This look around is something that you might use when you're actually making an animation. It's kind of like saying, okay, I want to be standing stationary but turning left or right. You see the choices under here. Look around, look and focus on. So I'll just set that back to that option. And then this option is the walkthrough. So walkthrough, if you notice, if I hold down the left button and I move up the way, I'm actually walking into the model. If I go down the way, I'm actually walking away from the model. You'll see later when we do the animation, it's that you can take your eye point into the building, and as you're doing this walking around, you can apply gravity, so you're only walking on solid objects that exist, but you can't walk in space. And if you find that you walk over, say, stairs, you go down the stairs. You can also turn on things like collisions, so that if you bump into a sheet of glass, it won't let you walk through the sheet of glass. But we'll do more on that if we get a chance later. Just before I leave that, there's also the options on your mouse. So this is why I don't use the navigation so much. Is that if I go to the central mouse and I hold it down, left, right, that's me panning, right? And if I go with the mouse, sorry, rolling in, rolling out, let me just make sure I'm not in anything here. I'm just going to choose select to get out of anything that I was in, similar to hitting modify in Revit. So what I was showing you is that if I just hold the mouse down, I've got a pan tool. That's the mouse scroll bar button, or the central button. I get pan if I hold it down. If I roll forward or roll back, I can go in or out. And if I hold the shift key down, I can orbit around that point just the same way as I could in Revit. So there's lots of choices up here, but so if you know how to do it in Revit, you pretty much can use the same things, and just with the use of the mouse and the shift key.